based on the person you are asking. So he'll have his own sense of interpretation for those questions. So some of the basic questions: does God exist? The difference between a living body. A child can say, Dad, grandfather is lying on the floor, he's right here. But there is a subtle difference between the living body and the dead body. Another important question is, what is the basic purpose of life? Why have we given this human form of life? There are, as per Indian Vedic scriptures, there are 8,400,000 species on this earth. 8,400,000 species. But as per different species, human form of life is a more advanced and intellectual form of life. To get this life, anybody would like to get this question? Accident. So that could be one. So I'll come there. Next.
It has to be someone.
Yeah, it has to be someone. So if you see, what is the basic difference between, compare between two things. What is the basic difference between humans and animals? They also have same kind of requirements like we humans have. They eat, they sleep, they do mating, they defend in a sophisticated way, and we also sleep under air conditions in sofa, more cushion, and then we mate to produce offsprings, and then we defend ourselves with sophisticated equipment, killing others, protect ourselves. And then if you see, those are the four fundamental common things that we and animals do. But what is the difference between the animals and us? Yes, but we have meetings. Maybe they may be also meetings. You know, you see the birds flying in the evening in a herd to them, and then that's why they're able to go. See, so if you see a human being, he can ask, he can inquire about life and death, and he can find out some basic answers. So to these questions: who am I? Where did I come from? Where will I go after death? Why I am suffering? Because if you see this human life, we suffer during birth, and during death also it's a painful process. So let me tell you about a person who has conquered his senses, and he wanted to make sure whatever he learned from the Vedic scriptures, he presented itself in a basic English language, which is predominant now. In India, if you see, English has become one of the predominant languages. So he wanted to make sure. He was born in India in 1896 in Calcutta, where Mother Teresa was born, and his family was spiritually oriented, so he got same inheritance from his dad, and he was a very strong believer in God. So he wanted to make sure whatever life he leads, he can set an example. He wanted to bring out all the Vedic scriptures to the forefront to the entire world with the language that is being used. So he is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He founded ISKCON in 1969, and he founded this organization called International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Krishna, he is the Supreme Lord as per Indian Vedic scriptures. Like we have the president of America, and he have his administrative similarly, like Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and then he has his other administrative gods to help him from day-to-day affairs. So he founded ISKCON in 1966, and he went through all the Vedic scriptures. It's having problem. So he went India. If you see, there are a lot of tons of Vedic scriptures. There are 4 Vedas, there are Upanishads, there are tons of Upanishads, and there are Ityasas, that is Ramayana and Mahabharata. Many of you might have heard about it, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And then he made sure he could control his senses. So that is very important aspect for one to make progress in a lifespan. To control your senses. They are not ruling you. They should be your servant. You should not be their servant. So he made sure that he did all that, and he took something called sannyasa in 1959. That is, he retired from his day-to-day life, and he completely focused on translating the scriptures, or he wants to propagate the Krishna consciousness across the world. And as part of this process, there are many more, and what they did was, recently all his devotees, we have an electronic copy of available. We have a PDF, you have an MP3 version you can download and then listen on your smartphones or portable devices. So they have made it easily accessible, and whenever he spoke anything during any lecture, they recorded and they sold it in forms of CDs. So there are tons of CDs available and DVDs available. Whatever lecture or whatever morning walks he spoke, they recorded them. And one of the scientists, PhD chemists, so and he proved, nobody could prove that life only comes from life. Life doesn't come from matter. So there was no scientist who could argue with him on this aspect. How many chemicals you can put together and you can't produce life? So he could argue with many scientists, and his talks with different scientists that life come from life. So the other thing is, so what he recommended is to basically understand the philosophy and how we can understand these Vedas. He recommended 4 basic principles, regulative, they call him regulative principles. No meat eating, like in Christian, right, thou shalt not kill, right? No illicit sex within family life, just for procreation, and no gambling, no, last one, no intoxication. Those are the fundamental things. He recommends that if you follow this, you can understand something higher. Otherwise, these things are very tough to understand. And then what, for an individual to follow, what he did is he established, in a span of 11 years, he established 108 temples across the world, and they are very lavishly built. And last week we visited one of the temple near Gainesville. It has 110 acres land. They produce their own milk, they produce their own vegetables, and they do good service to the Lord. So he made sure that everybody has the scriptures, and he recommended, I will show you the beads the listed here. He recommended to do 16 rounds of japa beads every day, so that you can keep your consciousness full, and so that you can maintain that purity when you leave out the house. So these are the beads that you need to do 16 rounds. You need to chant the Lord's name on this and move on. So you need to chant 16 rounds. So he made sure that everybody can understand these Vedic scriptures in the English language, and he recommended to make sure our consciousness is pure by these 4 regulative principles, and he recommended chanting the Lord's name 16 times a day. It takes 2.5 hours a day, so that if you start at 4:30, at least you need to spend till 7:30 and fill your glass with good consciousness and then go out. And what is the primary purpose of life? This is according to all Vedic scriptures, according to Indian Vedic scriptures, this is the primary purpose of human life. Thank you.